I need to talk about an ugly truth here. I know a lot of people. I'm kind of well known with people, not really in person, it's more of an online thing. I know a lot of people online. That's no secret. A lot of people know that about me, that I have a lot of friends from other countries, things. And oftentimes I will come across someone who has maybe depression or something mental which will, give them considerations of suicide. And I think it was about a month ago I had a conversation with one of these friends about these thoughts. Now, this is not one of the friends who thinks like that. This is a completely sensible friend, but I've got a lot of them, and here's what I've experienced, because I know a lot of people. So, in my experience, people of this age, and I'm saying any age really, anyone who really acts suicidal, and this is more common in kids who act suicidal, kids, teenagers, anyone like below 20 really, it's the most common that they'll make a big noise about it and say, I want to kill myself, I'm going to do it, and they'll create a big scare. There'll be a lot of people, everyone will be like, no, don't do it, we all love you. And that's all it. But if we look at patterns of children who have, God forbid, actually gone through with it, they haven't made a big noise about it. In fact, they've gone silently. Normally it will be to do with bullying, and they'll be completely helpless against it, and they won't just be sitting in the corner saying, I want to kill myself. It will just be one day out of nowhere, just bam, they're gone. And that's a horrible thing. Everyone wishes that wouldn't happen, but when people make a big noise about it, though people may not consciously think that's what they're doing, what they really want is for people to tell them not to. And so people will say these things, and their friends will say, don't do it, there's all these reasons you shouldn't. And I hate to say it, this is going to make me sound like a horrible person, but it's an unconscious cry for attention. People will say these things for the sympathy. And the thing they should understand is that if they're looking for sympathy, they should just ask for it directly. I'm feeling down right now, can you please cheer me up? That no one's going to say no. Why would you ask that? Nobody's going to say no. Nobody's horrible enough to not even try. If you ask someone to cheer you up, whether they show you some cute video or if they just write a short story about why you should be happy, people express this, so people think. Now, this creates an unfortunate situation because I can't pretend that it never happens. It's quite it happens. I don't know how common it is. I don't look at statistics. I don't want to see the statistics for this. It's not something I wanted to research. It's experience, not research. But it does happen. Sometimes people do get pushed over the line, and sometimes they do something ridiculous like that, and I know it's awful. And it's such a shame it happens. But the issue people are creating with the cry for sympathy is that you've got to give the sympathy. It's a bit like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, except not exactly. And this is my analogy, was The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Except it's the people making it seem like an empty threat. And so, in my mind, whenever I see someone saying this, I'm always treating it as an empty threat. I know they're not going to do it. But at the same time, I can't voice that. I can't say, you're not really, you wouldn't do it. Because that's just, firstly, unsympathetic. It's unkind to do, and that's not going to help at all. That's going to make them worse. That's going to challenge them, and it'll be, watch me then. But most of the time, people are too scared. People don't have the confidence to really do it. It's a terrifying thing. And, yeah. So, and, yeah. There's a lot more at stake than sheep here. The false alarms are the problem. And you can't stop them from happening. People need sympathy. And so, I'm just asking anyone, if you're feeling like that right now, I need you to look in your head and I need you to question, is this really how you're feeling? And then I want you to say to yourself, no, it's not. I seriously want you to say that. I don't know who the quote is of. It is a quote of I don't even know. It's a famous quote. It is widely known. You've probably heard this before. But if you don't, I'm going to say it to you. Suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. There is not a problem that can't be solved. And unfortunately, some people go too far. Sometimes people think the permanent solution. People don't think in the long run. So any young people considering this, think rationally. It's difficult, I know, to think rationally in a situation like that. But I need you to admit to yourself that you've got a whole life ahead of you, and that though you might be upset now, that's not going to help. Self-harm is another thing. I never really understood it. I don't know what the thought process is behind I'm in emotional pain, better make it physical. It was something that worried me a lot because people were just making everything worse and, potentially doing permanent damage to themselves depending on how far they go. And I'm happy to say I'm a rational thinker and I'd never consider any of this, but a lot of people will, and I need to wrap this up, but people are often giving a false alarm, though it's difficult to convince yourself that, and though I'm not saying to call their bluff, I'm saying give sympathy, but don't be worried. Don't be scared that they're going to go through with it, because your sympathy is exactly what they want. Though they can turn it away, they're going to say, shut up, I just want to, or leave me alone. That's not what they want. And Sometimes it's best to say something and then leave them alone. Do not leave without saying anything, though. You know, give them something to be. Give them some confidence. Give them some reassurance, maybe. Just don't let them be upset. And so I think I'm done now. This is things I've learned from my friends, and I try to be good with advice, and I know more often than not maybe my advice is nonsensical, but this is an area I feel confident in. I feel like keeping calm and thinking rationally needs to be more widespread. And oh yeah, that's another thing, never tell someone to calm down. And I learned this from my girlfriend, and this actually applied to her anxiety instead. But like, it was one night she just, started having an anxiety attack, and I had two options. You can say, calm down, there's nothing to be scared of, or just be comforting. And this applies to this depression as well. Just don't tell them to calm down, because that's like telling an angry person to stop being angry. So, or maybe to put it into perspective, it's like standing on a train tracks right in front of a train and putting your hand out like, stop. It won't work. That's not gonna prevent anything. But if you give the person some sympathy, empathy, then they'll start to feel better. And though it might not look like it, it always does, because that's what they want. Deep down, they convince themselves that's not what they're asking for, but they are. And so that's the best I can put it. Try and convince people to think rationally, give them sympathy, and maybe even explain to them that whatever they're feeling, they're convincing themselves it's something else. Because I do want to see a decrease in the number of people doing this. The false alarms, they really have a negative effect, because it's a boy who cried wolf situation, except people are creating the false alarms, and somebody else then might actually go through with it, and people didn't expect it, because people think, oh, they're just bluffing. So yeah, my friend said it was a good analogy, so I'm gonna leave you on. It's a bit like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, but there is a lot more at stake than sheep.